You need a stand, man.
Yeah, I know. My arms are getting shaky. So talking about your crossing into consciousness and the awakening process from a child in Corona going over to the ashrams in India. Where do you draw different learning lessons from other people that you've surrounded yourself from, whether it be Osho from India, Peter Drucker, Stephen Covey? Do you see cross parallels in communicating with these people and their messages? Is there one consistent story, or is there several different stories that you're creating one story, if that makes sense?
It does. It does. I would say it's actually really funny because when I first got to India, I felt that if I could organize all of these ideas into one system, and I would call it the theory of everything, that in that moment that enlightenment would happen, because that was what they would tell you when you go to India, that there's a moment that you yourself can become enlightened, and of course in the end you find out that's not true, because in the moment that enlightenment happens, the ego is no longer there to receive it. So enlightenment really is. So even the way you asked the question, it was like, how did you cross into this place? And I would say, well, I really didn't cross into this place. What happened was the place leaked and obliterated who I was. And in the moment that I was no longer being felt, I could see that I was something much bigger than that. But the ego really wasn't there for that particular occurrence. Once that's seen, what happens is that you can see that every single mentor and influence on your life is kind of laid out on a line or an arc. I always imagine an arc, and that they live somewhere on that arc, and it's somewhere between I am and enlightenment, because that's the entire path of humanity. And so once that can be located, and once that's kind of a scene, then every single piece, Stephen Covey, who I was on the board of directors with, or even Milton Friedman, who I did work with, these are just, really true die-in-the-wool corporate people who believe in ego and self-mastery and all of this stuff, right? But at the same time, in their own battle, they knew there was a beyond from where they were. And it was always they're pushing into that beyond. And I became kind of an object of that because I was willing to go do those things. So when I got on that plane and went to India, it was with the blessings. Stephen Covey and Peter Drucker both were like, oh, that's so cool. Someone's going to actually go beyond where we sit. They loved that. And then I would get in the hands of the Indian gurus and the rest of them. And they were used to people like folk. They might not have been used to the corporate version, but they were clearly used to people coming along and being, highly dedicated to trying to go beyond wherever it was that they were. And so all of these mentors, if you want to call them that, that's probably the best word in the Western world. Really, they just arrayed themselves where they needed to be on what appears to be a story called Alan.